Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hook Podcast. My name is Jeff Lowe. My co-host, Keith Butler.
What's up,
in
everybody?
the house. What's going on? Hey, want to let you know the platforms that we are on so you can check us out. And you can go to Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Also, you can email us for any of your suggestions and your feedback on the show at jlo1215@gmail.com or jlo200 at comcast.net. Also, subscribe to our podcast on the various platforms. We would love your information and your feedback. I'd like to say once again, welcome to the Hook Podcast.
That's right. We're coming to you from the Six-Hole Studio here in Detroit, Michigan. It's nice outside. It's a little cool and balmy. Of course, it's wintertime in America, Jeff. Yeah. So it's a little cold, man.
That's right. The golfers are not out there today.
Looks like they could golf today, but it's
Yes.
a little too cold.
That's
and
right.
also, if you have any other suggestions and you want to catch up with me, Keith Butler, you can hit me up at kebu10@yahoo.com. That's kebu10@yahoo.com. We love your feedback, any suggestions about the show or anything, any topics you would like us to talk about. But we're going to move on today, and we've got somebody who's a real hot topic right now. We generally talk about sports and stuff like that, but we also talk about business. And this one is a little bit different. Jeff, would you do the introduction?
Well, not a little bit different, but a little bit of both sports and business and fashion. This brother is a rising star and a former sweet mate of mine at Eastern Michigan University, a Huron, not an eagle, a Huron. I'd like to welcome you to the show, Mr. Malcolm Staples.
Yeah,
Yes.
too many more introductions like that.
I see you laughing. You're a Huron, brother. You're not
man, what the Eagles, man? What the heck? I mean, when they made the name change, I said, "Look, I'm disowning this university. What the hell?" Anyway, but we good. We good. Eagles, man. We are here. Well, I don't even know what a Huron was, but it was an Indian. But they didn't change it to the Eagles. Now I guess they wanted to be politically savvy and politically correct.
Hey, I was an Eagle in high school, man. I was a Huron when I went to college.
Yeah, we ain't going to talk about that high school either. Forget that high school. You know how I feel about that high school.
That's right.
But here we got Mr. Malcolm Staples today. And Malcolm, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, it's Jeff and I, we go back a ways, man, to Eastern Michigan, being roommates and playing football for EMU. But I'm from Saginaw, Michigan originally, and, grew up there. And then later, after graduating from Eastern, I was going to go into teaching school. So I left and got a job and moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, taught school for about 4.5, almost 5 years. And then what happened was the union was looking for young advocates and union reps or whatever. So they plucked me out of that and gave me a job being a union rep. And I ended up moving to Virginia. And then I worked in Virginia for a while and did some stuff there, union rep, and I became a lobbyist. I was doing a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And then I got discovered by our national organization who wanted me to come in and run the college program, students who are going to school to be educators. They wanted me to run that program. So they moved me to D.C., took a job there and got a couple promotions within that job. And so I was working in a real comfortable situation. I call it the golden handcuffs. Great job, great benefits. But I didn't want it. There was no other job that I wanted in the organization. And so pretty much I got a chance to work the job. And then I took advantage of an opportunity, which was a once in a lifetime. They were offering money to the managers. They said they was trying to cut down and downsize. And they wanted to cut the managers in half. So they offered a really sweet package for anybody who had 10 years of experience to take the money and run.
Right.
And I did.
All right.
And I did it with the sole purpose of starting my own business.
Okay.
I would take their money and just jump into a business where I didn't have to go and get in debt. And so that's what I did.
And what business was that? Did you have any ideas or it just pop up in your head, or had you been planning on doing something?
No. I decided to pursue this fashion thing because, believe it or not, Jeff didn't even know this. My grandfather, who was a tailor back in the day, he taught us how to work and work, sewing machines back when I was 7, 8 years old, man. It was just one of these skills that you learn, but you never use. It was like he always felt that we needed to have a skill in case you couldn't get a job, even getting a degree. You need to be able to go out and make some money if you had to. So that was something, and it was always in the back of my head. It's something I always loved doing. It was just kind of hidden deep in the dungeon somewhere that I wanted to do this fashion thing, but I didn't really know how to process it because I didn't think that it was the kind of profession where I could make a lot of money. But then again, I never really pursued it until I got older and started realizing that there was something I wanted to do.
Malcolm, you were like me. I was in education too for many years in special ed sector of education, and just like you, I was the same way as far as broadcasting and media. I had worked media for 15, 20 years also in Detroit. But anyway, this is about you. And
right, well, I appreciate it.
Your transition into the fashion industry, when you first got in or you first looking at it and said, wow, this is a different kind of set right here. Tell us about that first experience of you getting into the fashion.
It was crazy. It was crazy because again, there was a lot of stereotypes in the business as one, because a lot of the guys who was coming in this industry were a lot of gays, gay guys in this industry, and so you were a straight guy coming to a business with a lot of women, and so you had there's a lot of stereotypes and things you had to deal with, and it was a big transition only from the standpoint of it was a different type of a business. I was working with education, and then you come into a fashion business. It's the creative business, and so there's not a lot of rules with creative people. People think they can do anything they want to do because they come up with these great, crazy ideas, don't know how to pay for it, but they come up with these ideas and do things. And then you come from a business where there's structure and rules and protocols and all that stuff, and you go into a business where there's not a lot of it. I had to kind of learn how to scale myself back from what I've been taught over years into this creative field. So it was a little transition for me at the beginning, and I was kind of doing a little almost like ghostwriting. I was helping this this Indian guy out of Sherman Oaks, California. He had a custom business, and I was doing some of his groundwork in the background, but he was the only one getting paid. And I decided that was crazy. So I said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So when I had the opportunity in transition, I just started with doing men's clothing. So I started with that, and it was interesting when I first started my business. My first client was my nephew, Lamar Woodley, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 7, 8 years. Okay. And he became my first paying client. And then he grabbed 4 other Pittsburgh Steelers. So I had 5 guys who were my clients when I started my business. So I started my business unusually hot versus a lot of people who started trying to break even. Shit, I made more money in 5 months than I did on a 6-figure job working with 5 guys. Wow. And so I ate off those 5 guys for the whole year. I mean, I had 5 clients. I had 5 clients, and I ate comfortably.
Wow. So what were you doing? I mean, how did you do? Did you sew and design and
all yourself,
or how do you do it?
I sketch too. I sketch. So part of it is the sketching part was the big thing that gave me an advantage. The sewing thing, I had to go back and I had to really hone the skills. But I knew how to sew. Believe it or not. And so then what I did is I got bigger orders. I got 4 or 5 other folks to sew for me. Like I would create the stuff and they would know my models and my styles and they would sew it. So I could fulfill orders and I can do bigger projects versus one. So with the football players, they didn't really know because they just had a lot of money, but they didn't know a lot. So like, give you a prime example, my nephew, he had just signed a contract with the Steelers for $60 million. But he didn't know how to spend his money. He didn't even know how to budget money. He didn't know anything about fashion or anything, but they were required to wear suits on the road or when they go to football games. So he was forced to go out and buy some clothes, and he was too big to go in off the store because his thighs were too big and he had these big muscles and his big chest. He couldn't go and buy clothes off the rack. So he needed to deal with customers. So when he signed up with me, he told me, look, charge me what you would charge any of these high-end dudes. And I hit him over the head. So I hit him and the rest of them over the head because I just figured, that was the business. So I made a lot of money off those guys. But they got a good product, but I made money. There's no question about it. And that's kind of how I started. So my first order I had to do 60 suits for these guys. 60. That's how I started my business.
60 suits.
Delivering 60 suits for these dudes. I took the order like in January. I delivered those suits for them in May.
And you were doing this by yourself at that time?
Well, at that time, if I started doing it by myself, but I had help on that project, so that was crazy.
Oh.
But so I delivered those suits to their. They had they had their pre-camp or their summer camp or whatever.
Right.
And so I delivered the suits to those guys, and what they wanted, each one of them wanted me to do what they call a season order. So I put all the suits in a bag with their name on it, the suit, shirt, tie, everything. And each one, this is the Cleveland game, or this is the Dallas game, or this is the Philadelphia game. And they would just grab the bag, put on whatever's in the bag, and keep it moving. And that's how they trusted me. So I did that for them for 3 years.
Wow.
So those 3 guys, although it was four guys was my client buying at that high level for 3 consecutive years. And then they got all, saturated. Nobody going, you can buy 30 suits. How you done? You ain't buying no more suits.
Right.
But at that point, so then I had to start branching out and getting new people. But that's how my game started, man, in the fashion thing. I started out having a big problem, like too many suits I had to do, not the other way around. I had more work than I needed.
Yeah, you had the reverse problem. Most people can't find enough clients, and you had too many clients.
It was crazy. And Jeff, I got lucky because of the timing. Those guys had a need. I had a business, and again, I didn't take mercy on them. The one thing you never do, and this I learned this early on, you never give millionaires free stuff. Now you might think it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing.
Right.
Why the hell are you paying these guys or giving them they can afford to buy anything you have?
Right.
But you think by latching onto them, it's going to open up the gates or something, and that's just not real.
Right.
You have to charge them, like my nephew said, and my nephew was real cheap, so he didn't really know about spending that kind of money, but he didn't have no vices either. So he didn't drink it and smoke, didn't go out and waste his money and whatever. So, but he wanted to have some nice suits because his coach pretty much shamed him into it, because my nephew was a slob, man. He was a slob. He didn't even dress. And so the coach called me one day, or told me at one of those family things, he said, "Look, I need you to dress Lamar like he's the highest paid defensive player on our team," which he was at the time.
Which coach was this? Which coach?
Just Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin?
My front brother.
Mike Tomlin drafted Lamar from Michigan. I was at the draft day. I was at his pro day, and I met Tomlin then. And when I came up for the family day, he remembered me. He said, "You the dude that make the suits?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, he said, "Yeah, you need to pull Lamar to the side, make him some suits, and tell him he needs to dress like the highest paid defensive player on the team. And stop coming here with these shorts and T-shirts and we up here dressed up and whatever." And he shamed him into it. And dude couldn't sleep. I remember he called me 3 days in a row. "Hey, Uncle Mac, what we going to do about them suits?" I said, "What are you talking about, man?" He says, "Man, I got to get some suits." I thought he was, kidding around. He just bugged me. "Man, I got to get those suits." The coach had just really just lit the fire under him, man. And then once I did that for him, I got the other guys. And actually, that was a blessing in disguise for me, because I had no earthly idea that I would get these 5 guys or 4 guys at the beginning of my career to get me started. That's how I started my business, man.
Now, with 2 guys on that team that I also knew, Bettis and Larry Foote.
Jerome. I met Jerome.
Okay.
Larry Foote. Larry, at that time, Lamar came in. They had the top linebackers in the league. They won the Super Bowl in 2009. Larry, you had Lamar, you had down there James Harrison, all these guys. They all played together. Yeah, so they was the number 1 ranked defense in the league for like 3 straight years.
Yeah. So did you get? Did you get to design and create for them?
I made clothes for some other players on the team. I made a super Tomlin as well.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And some of the other folks, and I had some guys in the league that was with some other teams. I ended up getting some guys from the Giants, from the Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals. So I had in the Ravens. I had several guys in the Ravens, the Redskins at the time. Okay. So I had guys like that I was doing stuff, and then I was catching a few guys for the draft. Through an agency. My nephew was part of this agency called Octagon Football. They was like the 2nd largest agency in the world, but they would always have these, high-end, high draft choices, and they had part of their whole presentation was to give each one of the guys a suit package. to go to the draft. After they get drafted, go to the team or whatever. So the guy hired me to come in and dress their guys several times. I mean, that was just like low hanging fruit. So I got that every year almost, that they would call me to do, I don't know, 8 or 9 suits for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I hit them over the head with that because they had the budget. So I didn't have to negotiate prices and all that stuff. I just told them what the number was, and they said, yeah, that was it.
So how long have you been doing this? And like, before you answer that question, if I'm not getting too nosy, what were you charging these guys, man?
Okay, like for example, because the custom business is different, man, depending on what you're doing. I was charging most of those guys at least $2,500 to $3,000 for a suit.
Okay.
So I was hitting them, like when the guys came in, they did a package, man. The guy did a package. Gave me $75,000 up front.
Whoa.
To do his suit. Now you can do some things when you get the money up front,
right.
and you ain't waiting for nobody, and you ain't got ain't no chasing somebody for your balances and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But the only thing about it is you got to deliver. You can't take nobody's money and not deliver the goods. And so that was the thing. And then what happened, man, in terms of how my business, it was morphing into a bigger thing than what I imagined. Is I end up getting a real big client name. Y'all probably know this dude's name is Bishop T.D. Jakes.
Okay.
Yeah, I started doing suits for T.D. Jakes. That was when I started doing it, probably about 7-8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I had him after meeting a minister here in D.C. who happened to went to school with him in West Virginia, and they were best friends for 45 years. He introduced me to T.D. Jakes. I ended up doing some suits for him, and then I got on his book where he would have me do what's called seasonal wardrobes for him. We would go through his calendar. He said, I got 21 events. I got to have 21 suits, and I would do that for him. That took over a period of time. So I did that. I did it strong with him for about 4 consecutive years. Because, this dude got so many options, man. He could have anybody do stuff for him.
Right.
But I was doing most of his stuff in a 4-year period for about 90% of his stuff. And then you can tell, you go and look at his evolution and tell you where I got involved. I started doing this suit when he started wearing that beard. And that anything before the beard, I had nothing to do with.
Okay.
But anything after the beard, you look at some of the clothes he's wearing now versus what he used to wear. That brother used to wear some zoot suits and colors and crazy stuff. We got out of that crap quickly because I remember meeting the dude. And he asked me what I thought. I said, that was a trick question. So I said, he can either throw me out the room and say the dude is knucklehead, or I can lie and stay in the room. I said, no, I'm going to tell the guy straight up. I said, bro, man, you need a new designer. He said, what? I said, man, I don't know who you've been working with, but they need to be slapped and fired. Because, first of all, they got you in these purple suits and these yellow suits. You know how they used to do back in the city.
Right.
Wearing these yellow and purple suits. Man, you too black. You can't be wearing no yellow suits and purple suits. And he looking at him and said, you got a big stomach, wide shoulders, you got no ass, you walk with you got a physical ailment. You're wearing these clothes that don't look right.
Wait a minute,
Look
man.
at me like I got 3 eyeballs. He's like, man,
He asked you about a suit, man. He asked you about a
said,
suit.
bro,
He didn't ask
look,
you for a diagnosis.
He asked me the question. Look, Jeff, hey, bro, I'm telling you, he asked me the question.
And you told him the truth.
And I told him the truth. And he told me later, I really respect it because he was honest. I said, I want to earn your business, man, but I ain't gonna sit here and be lying to you because my name got to go in that suit.
Right.
And you walk around with some zoot suits and some clown stuff, man. I ain't put my name on that. So I just told him, I said, I got a plan for you if you trust what I do. I said, don't listen to me. I'll make a suit for you. You tell me if it makes and it fits your criteria, and then I'll earn your business. So I did a suit for him, like a trial. He was getting ready to go do this thing with Tyler Perry in L.A. And so I made this tuxedo for him. And I remember I delivered the tuxedo, and this is how I got him. I flew down to Dallas on my own dime. I just said, I'm gonna fly down there. I'm gonna take the suit. I'm not even gonna send it to him. I'm gonna take the suit and deliver it to him. I hand delivered that suit to him. That messed him up because he said he didn't expect that. I gave him the suit, tried it on. He didn't have to do one thing to it. And when I say he didn't have to do one thing to it, not a centimeter of adjustment, nothing.
It fell right on him.
Put it on. It was perfect. And so by the time I flew back to D.C., his assistant already called me and said, Bishop was impressed with you because, one, you delivered the suit, and secondly, he had never had a designer give him a suit that fit him perfectly on the first try. I said, well, that's what I do. So Then he said, well, he want to place another order. He placed another order that same day. We had already picked out some fabric. So I did 6 additional suits for him. I did the same thing. I said, shit, it worked the first time. I'm going to try this again. I got on the plane and flew out there again.
Plus, you called him a fat ass.
Same thing. And he got it. And then it was like deja vu. I got back to D.C. The assistant called me again and said, Bishop, so impressed with you. He said, look, you ain't got to fly down here no more. Just send us what we want when we ask for the stuff.
Wow.
So then I met with them as a group, and we sat down almost like doing like a strategy session, man, about his season wardrobe. He always wanted to do it by the season. So he said, I got 20 events here. That means I need 20 different suits for these because I don't wear the same suit, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So you already knew when you did the season discussion that was going to be a big order. So you did that a couple times a year, and that was you could guarantee that money because he was good about paying. There was no question. I never had to negotiate with these people about the numbers,
right.
Especially once I started delivering the stuff to them. And then, that was a big deal, man.
Yeah. So look, let me ask you.
So, that's kind of how, in a nutshell, in terms of how my career has kind of morphed into some other stuff. And now I'm doing print magazine stuff. I'm working with fashion influencers, the magazine, some of that work. So it's kind of moving into different directions, which is cool because I'm not staying pat. I'm not just doing. When I was doing all athletes, I was doing one thing. Mm-hmm. Then I'm working with more. Start doing stuff for women versus just men. Then my women's business took off better than men. I got more women's clients than men now. So I had to change, and pandemic set in here. I had to kind of rework what I was doing because I was getting all of the demand from women and not enough from guys, which was crazy because that's how I started the business.
Do you have any famous women clients?
Well, not really major. I did some work for Kelly Rowland once, and I did, and that's something I'm still working on. I did some work for you. Yeah, from Destiny's Child,
Destiny's
Kelly
Child.
Rowland.
I'm talking about Dynasty.
Yeah, and so you remember Kenya Moore from Detroit, Jeff? You remember Kenya Moore? She was a Miss USA or something.
Right.
I was in conversation with her agent, and then that kind of fell through. I was going to do some stuff for her. Mm-hmm. I got what's this other lady's name? She's with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. One of those ladies, they had asked me to do some stuff for. But there's a few people that I work with. I'm doing some work for. Y'all remember Jane Kennedy? Remember her?
Yeah.
Remember Jane Kennedy back in the day when Jane Kennedy was the number one fine woman out there? You remember her?
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Jane. Yeah, we're still here. Jane Kennedy.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We just got choked when you said Jane.
Her, it was crazy. I remember being in my college dorm room, Jeff. I don't remember this. This was in '81.
Oh.
I had her. She was on the cover of Playboy magazine.
Yeah.
She was a woman I most idolized when I was in college. And I ended up years later making this lady some suits. I mean, just the craziest thing you could ever imagine.
Wow.
But that was great. So my career, man, I've been all over the place, man. I've had a chance to go to the Grammys. I've done some stuff, from different people, man. So it's been good. It's been good.
So you had a charmed business. Opening, establishment. What would you say to other young entrepreneurs who are trying to get into the fashion business? I mean, me myself, I've got a little thing called True Detroiter, and I'm struggling with that. It's nothing like what you do. I don't design suits or anything like that. It's basically a small t-shirt business, hoodies, and all that. But what would you tell people like myself how to go about it? And what else do you do other than suits? And do you jump, track suits?
Yeah. But mostly I do stuff more structured stuff, man. Suits and more pieces
more
for people, for adults who want to dress up. I don't get into the casual wear stuff. That's just not my lane. And that's what I was getting ready to say. Mm-hmm. I just think with anything, you hear this all the time, man. I think you have to perfect what you do best.
Right.
I'm a suit maker by design, so I ain't trying to be the big over-the-top couture gown maker. That's not who I am. Mm-hmm. I can make some stuff like that, but that's not my niche. My niche is I make structured pieces, and now what I try to do is to make them as sexy as possible because women buy sexy. They don't necessarily buy structure. They want sexy stuff. You want a suit. It used to be a time you can give them a black suit and you call it a day. Now they want a black suit with a split that's up to their ass, and then they want to show their cleavage. And so you got to know what women like, and so you make your suits accordingly. I mean, and then athletes, I became relevant because a lot of them didn't have people like us who could deliver the goods at this high level, but yet the price point was friendly. You know, there's a lot of people out here who might charge $5,000 for a suit, but hey man, I don't care what kind of money you're making. Most people are not gonna give you that kind of loot for a jacket and a pair of pants. It's just not gonna happen.
Right.
So you just got to know what that is. But my little advice would be find your niche or whatever you is. If you're doing T-shirts, if you're doing whatever, just master that, and then and branch out slowly, man. Don't. Sometimes we want to move too fast before we perfect what we do. I like I said before I jumped into the.
Looks like we lost him. We're going to try and get him back, folks, because this is a real good conversation. Yeah, we'll take a break right quick, and we'll get back with him in just a minute.
Yeah, and also, before we go to break, it's a good time to say, hey, Google, Apple platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, emails, jlo200 at comcast.net, jlo1215 at gmail.com.
And Keith Butler at KEBU, the number 10 at yahoo.com. KEBU, the number 10 at yahoo.com. And we're coming to you from True Detroit Clothing. And, look us up and check us out and buy some stuff. We got a lot of cool things, bags, mugs, hats, hoodies, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be right back after this break. Hey, you've been thinking about doing a podcast but don't have the equipment or nowhere to go?
Call YMP, your mobile podcast. We will come to you.
You can do your podcast without worry of equipment or travel.
For more information, contact 313-241-0017. That's 313-241-0017.
YMP,
your mobile podcast.
Hey everybody, I'm Keith Butler.
And I'm Jeff Lowe, and we want you to check us out on the Hook Podcast. And you can check it out on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts.
And if you have any questions or comments, hit us up at our emails. Mine is KEBU10, that's the number 10, at yahoo.com.
And mine is jlo1215 at gmail.com. Got a sweet tooth and looking for something sweet to eat? Try a taste of Summer Snacks and Sweets. They have a great assortment of delicious treats that you and your family will love. Zucchini bread, pound cake, chocolate chip cookies, peanut butter cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, and sweet potato pie, just to name a few. To place an order, call 313-207-3440. That's 313-207-3440. Orders should be made a week in advance.
Make any occasion a celebration to remember with Yard Card Memories. Birthdays, graduations, homegoings, anniversaries, and more. Yard Card Memories is a creative and artistic greeting and messaging company with a focus on making memories for any occasion with the installation of yard card rentals that we create and display on your yard. Make your occasion a celebration to remember with Yard Card Memories. To book your Yard Card Memories rental, call 313-246-2927. That's 313-246-2927. Make sure you book early. We recommend 2 weeks in advance. All right, welcome back. We're back with Malcolm Staples. We were just talking. We were listening to him. Malcolm, continue what you were saying before we went to break.
Yeah, it's like, again, in this business, man, a lot of times, we're competing against these iconic designers. You take somebody like a Tom Ford. Mm-hmm. Tom Ford can put his stuff in Neiman Marcus and put a $4,800 ticket on a damn suit that's made in China. But they say it's made in Italy, but he got the fabric in Honduras. Man, come on, bro. But the thing is, but because of his name, he can get away with sloppiness. If you was to lay Tom Ford's suit out against a handmade suit that I would do, I would, if you were being honest, and if you didn't know his name was on that suit, you would never pick it over mine. Mm. Only because the suits aren't that well made, but his name is so strong, he can sell a $5,000 suit and no one's going to question it. Mm-hmm. Let us, a lot of times, put a $5,000 ticket on it. They looking at us like we got 3 eyeballs. Like, what the hell? but we're using better fabric. It's better construction, but yet we're competing against names. So it's hard to sell a suit for $2,000 and your lining is not fixed in it. Mm-hmm. But you have people who can sell that crap right off a runway, not even finished yet, and people go Google and Gaga because they say it's Tom Ford.
Yeah. Hey, Malcolm, how long does it take you to make a suit? We're running out of time, but how long does it generally take you to make a suit? Give us an idea of what your day is like.
Well, about 4 to 5 weeks, because depending on, you can do something faster than that if you ain't got nothing else to do. But I got clients, so as I slot work in, I usually slot in myself about 4 to 5 weeks to deliver suits. Now, sometimes, like I say, you can do it faster, but if you want it done right, I mean, because I don't do cookie cutter stuff like major retail stuff. So it's usually 1-1-1. You pick the fabric, we pick the design, we pick everything that's going to fit your body and not somebody else's body. And that takes time, man, because there's a lot of it is done by hand. I don't do a lot of, I use machine, but when people want specific things, man, you got to take a needle out, man, and sew it. Right. It's just that simple.
So you actually have to come to town. You have to sit down and meet with this person personally, measure him up.
Well, no, not necessarily. Just sometimes, okay. Believe it or not, I have a lot of clients I've never met in my day. Now we've done everything virtually, and that's what the pandemic taught you, man. You got to learn how to be nimble and get measurements. My biggest thing is getting the measurements, the right measurements. If there's a way that we can get measurements taken by somebody who knows how to take measurements, mm-hmm. I can make a suit. It doesn't matter. But a lot of times the problem is you can't get real measurements because people are lying to you, cheating, saying, I'm really a 46 jacket and they're a 52 jacket. Mm-hmm. They're thinking they faking you out as a designer, which is crazy. I'm like the lawyer. Why are you going to fake me out? I'm trying to represent you.
Right.
So, but people do that. It's a game, man, because they don't want the pandemic. Everybody didn't blame everything on the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Lose weight, gain weight because of the pandemic. I mean, nobody taking no responsibility. But it's like, that is what it is, man. So the ladies have picked up 10 more pounds. I used to be a size 36 bust, now it's 38. Well, the pandemic was with you. How about that? But that's the reality of it, man. So, but again, and so that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest challenge. If you can get the measurements, let's say, for example, I'm talking to you, and there's a reputable designer there in Detroit, which are many. You mm-hmm. go over and let them take my 17 measurements. I can make a suit for you, and I never met you. Okay. And that's just how it is.
17 measurements.
That can happen.
You said 17 measurements?
There's 17 measurements that I need in order to make a suit. Now, some people have more, but usually 17 basic measurements that you need that will cover everything that you're going to cut on a suit. Mm. And if you give me a picture of what you look like, then you have a silhouette. So somebody might say, I'm 6'2", and I weigh 230. That doesn't tell me anything. Mm-hmm. That doesn't say how big your hips are or how big your stomach is or wide your shoulders are. So you got to just know silhouette-wise what it is. And then you cut based on that. Most of the brothers we deal with got butts. Most of them got thighs. You ain't going to cut. Like for the white boys, they ain't got no butts. And they just straight up and down. Most athletes and brothers, you're dealing with thighs, butts, chest, and biceps. That's where your challenges are. Mm-hmm. And if guys don't want to wear slim suits, like my nephew, he didn't want a slim suit, even though everybody was trying to get him in a slim suit. He said, bro, I ain't slim. I want to wear a suit that's going to fit me. You know what I'm saying? So those are the factors you got to put in there. But if you get the numbers right, because the number's not going to lie. I mean, people going to lie, but the number's not lying.
See, I'm a 52, Malcolm. 52. Okay. 52, 34.
No, man. You're a fat ass. That's what you are. Ain't no 52, 34.
And you are?
I'm a fat ass too.
Oh, right then. What are you, 54?
Yeah, I'm about 54.
You're 54.
Yeah.
I'm a 52 extra long.
Hey, let me tell you something, bro. I'll give you this. Hey, let me tell you this, man. I made a suit for a preacher who wears a size 66 jacket. Don't get it twisted, man.
66.
So I'm saying his waist size was 66 inches.
His waist?
His waist was 66, and his jacket was a 66. He looked like a big egg. Man, he was a big dude, and he wasn't a tall dude. But when the suit came out, I mean, it looked good on him. He was a big guy. He was like 25 pounds or something. He was a big dude.
Oh,
but
geez.
Made a suit for him, custom. He had never had a custom suit. Obviously, he can't go into a store and buy a suit.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, got him the suit, and you'd have thought his congregation said they had never seen him look that good when I think he wore for his anniversary or something. Uh-huh. And him and his wife come walking in them blue suits, and he had a blue dress on. He had the blue suit. Man, this dude was killing it. Yeah. And he was a big joker, bro.
His wife had a match. It was a matching thing there. Him and his wife.
Yeah, they just wanted to have. He was just clean. I had this tie combination with this pocket square. I mean, it was a vested suit. I mean, the dude was clean. I mean, big brother.
Yeah.
Big brother, Jeff, but the brother had it on, and I was just trying to make the point. You know, when I had to measure him, man, my tape, I had to have somebody help the tape because we couldn't get the tape around his waist because my tape was 60 inches. His tape, I mean, his stomach was bigger than my tape. So
wow.
I had to get somebody to hold the tape, and I had to get the other side. I'm telling you, bro, it was like that. That was that challenge.
But the bottom line is you had him looking good, though.
Yeah, we got him done. And it's going to cost more money because you use more fabric with the big brothers like that, man. But he was so pleased, man, because he was going to these big and tall places, and not even big and tall. It was like big and fat places. But these people, they was giving them stuff that didn't have no style, man. You know, they ain't got a lot of options, man, because these guys are too big, man. So he was able to do it. I think his church must have raised the money for him to buy the suit because I had to charge him because we was using a lot of fabric. Yeah. And he got it, man. But and I eventually did some shirts for him as well, some shirts in that suit. So that was a couple of years ago, man. But it was a big deal. That was my biggest client. I mean, I had never had a client that size. Oh, so I figured if I can do that, I can make a suit for anybody.
Okay, hey Malcolm,
because that was the biggest challenge I ever had.
Listen, Malcolm, we're out of time, and we want to thank you for coming and telling us about it. But now, listen,
is it Keith, right?
Yeah, it's Keith. But listen, if somebody wants, say for instance, if I fell onto some great fortune and I want to get a suit designed by you, how would I be able to get in touch with you? Give me your
just
phone number.
Find me on my Instagram is the best way because I use Instagram and social media. So it's Executive D1. That's on my Instagram, and then on Facebook under Malcolm Staples. Any of those two, hit me up, inbox me, direct mail me, or whatever. We chop it up, tell me what you all need, and then we make it happen, man. Just that simple.
Now, the general public also. Your email, you got an email or? Yeah,
my email is Malcolm Staples, my first and last name at hotmail.com. Okay. So they can reach me there as well. So that's the easiest way. And then obviously I'm working on a new website right now, so I'm going to have it up soon. So it'll have all my contact information. But the social media side is the easiest way to catch me because that's just where you meet a lot of people, man, who want to do business.
Right. Okay. Now you said you're working on a website. Do you have one already where people can go and look at your stuff?
Well, no, it's kind of I dismantled it a little bit because it was just too stale, and I didn't want as I was transitioning. So, but it's going to be probably under Malcolm'sCustomSuits.com. So that's what I'm working with right now. So it probably should be live in a few weeks. I've been working on it for a minute. I wanted something a little bit more attractive, a little bit more user friendly, and not stale. I wanted to have a little bit more interactive stuff on there. So
now, Custom Made to Fit is the name of your company, correct?
Yeah. Malcolm's Custom Made to Fit is the name of my brand. That's just the name I've worked under. So you can Google that. That also will give you a little bit of stuff what I've done, videos from some of the clients I've worked with, some of the projects I've done. It's amazing, man, when you Google yourself and find out how much stuff is on the internet about yourself. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. But you can do that, and it'll show you a kind of a real snapshot of a lot of the stuff that I've been involved with.
Okay. Great. All right, Malcolm. Again, thank you very much, everybody.
All right, bro.
That's Malcolm Staples. If you want to get a prime suit made to
Lowe.
fit,
I still remember Jeff Lowe used to do the DJ stuff, man, with the DJ boys. Jeff Lowe.
Oh yeah.
I had never heard that before. He act like he's a DJ in the damn dorm room,
man. Was a DJ. Act. What do you mean?
Jeff Lowe, the DJ football player. Jeff Lowe. I remember that, man, like it was yesterday, man. It was a good day, man.
Well, I used to put my speaker in the window. You remember that?
That's right. That's right. Jeff Lowe, the DJ. That's right. You sure did. Did, man.
Hey, we got to keep in touch, though, bro. And
man.
And again, thank you for doing this, and you can catch it on various platforms throughout on the internet, Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and again, email is jlo1215@gmail.com or jlo200@comcast.net. And also, listeners, we want you to subscribe to our podcast, And Malcolm, you spread the word too, brother. All right?
Oh, I will, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all having me on here, man, and chopping it up a bit.
All right, man. We appreciate
it. Very good. Thanks a lot, man.
Have a good
one. All right, guys.
Man. Have a good one.
Take care.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
All right, everybody, that was Malcolm Staples. We hope you enjoyed this show. It was enlightening for me, and I'm sure it was enlightening for Jeff. I hope it was fun for you guys, and we'll be back with you again soon on The Hook.